friends, welcome to the latest edition of Seller's Corner, your go-to source for all things reselling. I'm Erin, product specialist at Vendoo, and today I'm here to talk to you about how to price your items for sale and developing a pricing strategy. But before I do, let me invite you to subscribe to our channel. We publish content every week, and it's all related to Vendoo product updates, community tips, and information about how to scale and grow your resale business. Establishing a pricing model can be tough. How do you determine how to price your items? Pricing is a science. Pricing low enough to attract attention, but high enough to yield a comfortable profit. The first thing to keep in mind is always your cost of goods, making sure that you are yielding a profit also in respect to your time. So we are going to talk about how to research pricing and different pricing strategies that will help you price your used items for sale. So how do you do pricing research? Most resellers recommend that you take a look at comps. Comps means comparable. That is comparable items to yours. So if you are selling a Madewell gray heather knit crew neck tee, you might choose to look at what other people are selling that same item for. Or maybe if you can't find a gray one, other colors. Looking at comps can be very, very helpful. There's a few different ways to find comps. The first is by looking right on the reselling platform that you're going to sell on. If I want to sell this shirt on Poshmark, I will perform a search on Poshmark. I might choose to unselect the defaults such as my size, and I will look at what other sellers are selling them for. This is called comparing to active comps. Some resellers really like to look at sold comps, not so they can see what sellers are asking for the item, but for what the item actually reasonably sells for by browsing solds. Now, I personally recommend that you focus more on active. The sold ones are gone, and there's a million reasons as to why that price might not be accurate. They traded, it was bundle sale, they underpriced, they overpriced. What does that even mean? Because pricing is very subjective. However, active comps, other comparable items that are for sale, that's your direct competition. A savvy buyer that's performed a search will see those results too. So if you would like to maintain competitive or price in accordance with other available listings, looking at active will be the best way to do it. You don't have to look on each individual platform either. There are tools like SellHound's price checking tool that searches multiple reselling platforms like eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Grailed, and more. And if you're a Vendoo user, right on the Vendoo listing form, underneath the pricing field is a direct link to SellHound's price check tool to get an idea of comps all across the internet. You could also consider just doing a Google search. Those can be really valuable because you might even find the actual item from the brand and be able to get some helpful information for your description. So, once you have an idea of comps for an item, then you need to develop a pricing strategy. And I'm going to talk about 3. The first is undercutting comps for quick sales. The second is pricing in accordance to, equivalent to comps. And the third is exceeding comps. All 3 of these work, and you'll have to decide which works best for you based upon many factors, but most importantly, your costs. So let's start with method number 1, undercutting comps for quick sales. Perhaps you ran the comps on an item and you spent so little on the item that you are able to undercut price significantly lower than everyone else. This can be a really viable method because, again, a savvy buyer will do that search and they're highly likely to select the one that's the least expensive. This provides fast flips. This is the fast dime, nickel over the slow dime approach. And if your cost of goods can support it, then do it. Granted, we want to be really considerate of your time because your time is money too. So don't sell yourself too short. But undercutting comps for quick flips is a very viable pricing option, and it's one that you might consider if it makes sense for you. The second is just pricing reasonably with comps. This is a great method as well, and I think it's the one that most resellers use. If you determine that comps for your item are all between 20 and 40, a lot of resellers might choose to list around 30. You're right in the middle. You might not have the lowest cost, but you don't have the most expensive either, and perhaps you have wonderful photographs, a detailed title, your item is yielding in many searches, and your listing looks great, you're sharing and refreshing and have an active shop. That's perfect. Pricing congruently with comps is a very, very common method of pricing. The third is exceeding comps, pricing higher. For many years, I did method number 2, which was pricing in accordance with comps. Now, I'm flirting with number 3 quite a bit, and that is well exceeding comps, almost disregarding them. Because while a savvy buyer will perform a search and other comparable items will yield, not every buyer is a savvy buyer. If you have super keyword rich listings and all of your drop downs are executed and thus your items are appearing in so many searches, you might be able to charge a little bit more than comps. Maybe even a lot of it. Maybe you have amazing descriptions, you're promoting and sharing and refreshing your listings with daily activity, and you can yield quite a bit more, even when there are other sellers asking quite a bit less. Now, this takes a lot more work in some instances, but of course it certainly pays off. I have been exceeding comps significantly to see how many more sales I can get, remembering that even if I'm getting less sales, if I'm getting them for a higher amount, then I'm working smarter and not harder. The other thing about pricing higher than comps that's amazing is that you can always accept offers. You cannot sell something for $100 if you do not list it for $100. However, you can list something for $100 and you can accept a $50 offer, and you might if you only spent $1, and that is fine. The buyer thinks they're getting an amazing deal. That pricing higher allows for price drops, it allows for offers, negotiations, all things that are encouraged on most platforms. I actually recommend, regardless of which method you choose, you price significantly higher than you'd like to sell for. If you can do it at least 25%, because offers, negotiations, and discounts are the name of the secondhand reselling game. Which pricing model do you use for your business? Do you price under comps, even with them, or even higher? Tell us below. And if you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time, reseller friends. Happy selling!